Welcome again to the future doctors, to Sri Chhatrapati Academy Study Ayush Forum for the students by the student. Okay, in the previous two sessions, we have learned about the radius and ulna, the two major bones of our forearm. Now, in today's session, we will talk about the muscle attachments of the particular bones, right? Now, when you study the bone, we have seen that these bones are useful for doing two main actions with the help of the elbow joint, which is called as flexor action, which reduces your arm to forearm angle, and this is an extensor. This is extensor action, which increases your forearm to arm angle. On the basis of this, they are divided into two types. These are flexor muscles and extensor muscles. Extensor group of muscles and flexor group of muscles. Okay. Now there are many types which are present superficially, which are present intermediately, which are present deeply. Okay. So today we will learn about the anatomy of our forearm muscles. Okay. So now the anatomical view. The forearm muscles are structured into two distinct operational groups, that is anterior compartment, primary flexor, and pronators originating from the middle epicondyle. I have told you that when we have learned humerus, that how to learn that flexor are originating from the medial part of the middle epicondyle of the humerus. So you have to learn FM radio like it. So flexor medial end. Okay. Similarly, and the posterior compartment, primarily extensor and supinators originating from the lateral epicondyle. So that is medial it is flexor. So obviously lateral it will be extensor group of muscles or the supinators. This reference guide breaks down every muscle by functional layer, pinpointing precise and attachments. Now this is the reference guide which I have made for you. Okay, this is a table I have made. So now let us study one by one. The anterior compartment, which is also called as flexor or the pronator group, which contains there are basically three levels we identify these muscles. Now first we will see the superficial muscles like directly like this. Okay, I will also show you the action of these muscles in the next reel. Okay, on YouTube reel, YouTube short. So this is first muscle of the superficial group is pronator teres. This muscle origins primarily from middle epicondyle of humerus and coronoid process of ulna. We have seen all this. Distal insertion is on the medial lateral surface of the radius. Primary action, which is flexes the elbow, and nerve supply also by the median nerve. We will also learn all this in detail in the brachial plexus. What are the nerve supply of the forearm. We will learn in detail in that session. Brachial plexus. We also learn about the arteries which supply, veins which supply in the detail. Okay. Now the second one in the superficial group is flexor carpi radialis, FCR, which is originates from the middle epicondyle of humerus. The most of they are originate there only, and distal insertion is on the base of the second metacarpals. Metacarpals. There also that bones are remain. We will also learn it in the further section. Each bone in detail. Flexes. It also does radial deviation of the wrist, and it is also supplied by the medial nerve. Palmaris longus. It is also proximally origin from medial epicondyle of humerus. Distal insertion is from palmar aponeurosis and flexor retinaculum. There is a band. Retinaculum is a band like wrist, like watch. We are wearing upper means we are wearing superficially the watch on our hand to see the time. In also deep also below the skin there is a layer of a muscle, or we can say it is a muscle. So it is also called as retinaculum. It is also a type of fascia, retinaculum, which is also helpful. So in that that nerve goes down. Palmaris longus over. Okay. Now let us see about flexor carpi ulnaris, which is originates from middle epicondyle of humerus and olecranon or the posterior border of ulna, and it's insert on pisiform bone. Pisiform bone is a form of a carpal bone. Hook of the hamate. Hamate is also a carpal bone, and base of the fifth metacarpal. Its action is flexor, and adductor. It is also used for ulnar deviation of the wrist. It is also supplied by the ulnar nerve. I have done it in a red color because all others are supplied by the median nerve. Only this one is supplied by the ulnar nerve. Now, intermediate layer. Some books give it, mention it in the superficial layer only, but most probably or most accurately, it is present intermediately, not superficially nor downwards or deep. So flexor digitorum superficialis, it's supplied to the digit, so we can see the name itself says that it originates from the middle epicondyle coronoid process of ulna and anterior border of radius. Okay, and it inserts on a shaft of middle phalanges. There is a shaft. Phalanges are also bones. There is also presence of a shaft. It inserts there. Flexes middle phalanges. Okay, and it's supplied by the median nerve. Now deep layer. Deep layer contains probably the three muscles which are flexor digitorum profundus. There is a flexor digitorum superficialis, and here is a flexor digitorum profundus. Originates from proximally 3/4 of the medial and anterior surface of ulna, that is interosseous membrane. We have seen that it is that borders are very sharp borders. Distal insertion, basis of distal phalanges. Primary action is a flexor action. Dual supply, nerve supply is there, lateral by median nerve, okay, and ulnar nerve also. We will learn it detail in our nerve supply of the forearm chapter session. Now the second one is flexor pollicis longus. Anterior surface of radius, its origin, and distal insertion is on the base of the distal phalanx of the thumb. It is supplied by the median nerve. All this is rectification process. You have to learn the muscles very, very, very accurately for your clinical. Okay. Now the last one of the flexor muscle is pronator quadratus. Its origin from the distal 1/4 of anterior surface of ulna and insertion on the distal 1/4 of the anterior surface of radius. Primary action is pronates forearm and nerve supply is by median nerve. Now there is some landmarks or rules which I have thought that is very interesting to tell you. So mnemonic for superficial layer which I have made, it is from lateral to medial. Okay, from lateral, it is lateral side to medial side. So pass fail, pass fail, pass fail, pass fail. Pronator teres, FCR, that is flexor carpi radialis, palmaris longus, and F is flexor carpi ulnaris. The split tendon concept, the tendons of FDS, that is flexor digitorum superficialis, split at the middle phalanx to form tunnel, allowing the deeper FDP, that is flexor digitorum profundus tendons, to pass cleanly through the distal flanks. It is a very important concept. Remember it very nicely. Nerve exception, all anterior muscles are median innervated except flexor carpi ulnaris and the middle half of the flexor digitorum profundus, which run on the ulnar nerve. We have seen with the red color. Okay, here ulnar nerve. Now this was all about your flexor compartment. Now let us see about the posterior compartment, that is extensor compartment. Extensor compartment used to extend your forearm from the arm, which increases the angle between the arm and forearm. They are also called as supinator group of muscles. Okay. Now the first muscle which is present on the superficial layer, and it's commonly extensor origin from lateral epicondyle, which we have seen previously. Brachioradialis. It origins from proximal 2/3 of the lateral supracondylar ridge of humerus. Lateral ridge of the humerus. Its insertion on the lateral surface of distal radius. Okay, distal radius, lateral surface of the radius, which is a little bit towards the lower side. Primary action, flexes not, it's wrong, it extends. Here the mistake is there, it should be extend. Nerve supply is by radial nerve. Extensor carpi radialis longus. Okay, this is originates from the distal one third of the lateral supracondylar ridge of humerus. Its origin is from base of second metacarpal. It extends and it is given. It's supplied by radial nerve. Third one is extensor carpi radialis brevis, which is originates from lateral epicondyle of humerus, which is insert at base of third metacarpal, and it is innervated by deep radial nerve. Then there is an extensor digitorum. It originates from the lateral epicondyle of humerus and extends or inserts on the extensor expansions of digit, second digit and fifth digit. Okay, and it is innervated by posterior interosseous nerve. Pin means it is a posterior interosseous nerve, it is short form. Then comes extensor digiti minimi, which originates from lateral epicondyle of humerus and inserts on extensor expansion of fifth digit. It is also supplied by posterior interosseous nerve. Then comes extensor carpi ulnaris, which originates from lateral epicondyle of humerus and posterior border of ulna and inserts on base of fifth metacarpal, which is also supplied by posterior interosseous nerve. Then comes your anaconeus muscle, which originates from lateral epicondyle of humerus and inserts on olecranon and superior posterior surface of ulna, and it's also supplied by radial nerve, those of that of brachioradialis. Now the deep layers. It is a mnemonic. We will learn further what is the meaning of that mnemonic. Outcroppers. So supinator. Supinator muscle is a deep muscle of extensor compartment. It originates from the lateral epicondyle of humerus, supinator crest and fossa of ulna. Now it inserts on lateral posterior and anterior surface of proximal 1/3 of radius, and it's supplied by deep radial nerve. Now it comes abductor pollicis longus, which is originates from the posterior surface of proximal ulna and inserts on base of first metacarpal, and it's supplied by pin. All these are supplied by posterior interosseous nerve. Extensor pollicis brevis is also originates from the posterior surface of radius and inserts on base of proximal phalanx, that is thumb. Wherever pollicis comes, it is related with the thumb. Wherever digitorium comes, it is related with digits. Now extensor pollicis longus, posterior surface of middle 1/3 of ulna and interosseous membrane. Its origin is there, and it is inserts at base of distal phalanx of thumb, and which is supplied by posterior interosseous nerve. Now the last muscle is extensor indicis, which originates from the posterior surface of distal ulna and interosseous membrane. Its insertion is on extensor expansion of second digit, which is present on second digit. When we will learn digits and the carpal bones in detail, we will learn there. Okay, what are that expansions and all. Now the nerve supplies posterior interosseous nerve. Now that landmarks which I have brought for you. Nerve consistency. Every single muscle in the posterior compartment is innervated by radial nerve or its deep branch, that is pin, that is posterior interosseous nerve. Okay. Posterior interosseous nerve is a deep branch of radial nerve. Okay. The anatomical snuff box. Borders are structurally key. The lateral border is formed by APL and EPB. The medial border is uniquely formed by tendon of EPL, that is EPL, extensor pollicis longus. The octocorpus. APL, EPB and EL are called octocorpus because their bodies are travel deep but emerge outcrop superficially to reach the thumb. These three muscles, which are those APL, abductor pollicis longus, EPB, extensor pollicis brevis, and EPL, that is extensor pollicis longus. These are called as outcroppers because their bodies travel deep, but they emerge outwards, outcrop superficially to reach the thumb. Okay, this was all about the muscles of the forearm. The muscle action I will show you in the format of a short on YouTube. Okay, till that, keep studying. Thank you.